What's up, people? It's Alexander, obviously. So we're going to have a conversation because I feel like talking about this, and another thing that would probably be a podcast topic, but yeah, we'll get to those eventually. But masculinity, femininity, and polarity. So I'm going to introduce an idea to you guys, a set of ideas. In Jungian psychology, there's this concept called the animus and the anima. And this concept elucidates the structure of the human mind, of your subconscious, that if you are a man, within the core of your psyche, you have a conceptualization of what a woman is. So over the course of your entire life, all of your experiences with femininity, they form a personality, so to speak, inside yourself, a female personality. This is the anima. And that anima, that is what you know of women, and that is how you understand femininity. And in turn, for the women, inversely, you have an animus, you have a collection of experiences, you have a personality within yourself as a woman that is the accumulation, coalescence of every single experience you've ever had with a man. And that starts in childhood, that starts when you're born, that starts with your mother, it starts with your father. And that continues for you throughout your whole life. And what you look for in a woman as a man will be a reflection of your anima. And what you look for in a man as a woman will be a reflection of your animus. So you have the opposite gender inside yourself. That's a way to think about it. It is within you. Now, what happens if your animus or anima is poorly developed? You end up looking for the wrong kinds of people. You end up in a poor relationship with the opposite sex. And your animus, your anima, the thing within yourself, that female understanding, that male understanding, that's not just based upon your experiences with the opposite sex. That's based upon your experience as to who you are yourself. So when I talk to the gentleman, I say, if you want to meet a great girl, you have to develop your masculinity. If you want to meet a better level woman, you have to be a better man. If I was to say it to a woman's telling me I want to meet a guy that fulfills these sets of expectations, well, are you the kind of woman that is going to attract that man? Polarity echoes throughout the entire universe. I've used the phrase in the past, if you want a level 10 guy, are you a level 10 girl? If you're a dime, then you can get a dime. If you're not a dime, you don't get a dime. That's how that works. But your animus and your anima, that personality within yourself, your understanding of the opposite sex, that is very highly dependent upon your own understanding of your masculinity, or, in turn, your femininity. The problem with the modern world, problem among many problems, is that you have a generation of people, you have multiple generations of people, whom their masculinity and femininity has become diluted. It's become diluted, it's become amorphous, it's become vague, it lacks form. So you have a generation of men who, they cannot even answer the question of what it means to be a man. They are reluctant to. You have men that if you ask them what does it mean to be a man, they'll avoid the question. They'll hem and haw, and well, let's talk about the evolved understanding of a man. They are not men. They are men who have no understanding of their own masculinity. And same thing for women. Same thing for modern feminism. Modern feminism has not expanded the power of women. It's reduced it. Modern feminism has resulted in generations of women now who they model their femininity upon trying to copy what men do. That's not feminine at all. That's masculine. That's completely masculine. That's one of the unfortunate effects of modern femininity. It's reduced the actual power of womanhood itself. If I ask a woman what does she want to do, but then I instruct her that to be a woman you just copy what men do, I'm not making her into more of a woman. I'm making her into less of one. I am not making her into more of one. And the same thing for a man. If I tell a man, do you want to be a powerful man? Sure, I'd like to be a powerful man. Well, copy what you think a woman is. That doesn't make sense. That's incoherent. So what happens as we go through life is that we end up with our anima and animus They are stunted and underdeveloped and confused. We don't understand the opposite sex at all because we don't understand ourselves. And unfortunately, I say we, generalistically, we are collectively conditioned to look for answers outside of ourselves. We look for answers outside of ourselves, so we look at what other people do. We look at how other men behave. If you're a man, you'll ask a woman what she thinks a man is. A woman can never tell you what a man is. A woman can only tell you what she thinks a man is, or what she wants from a man. A woman cannot know what it is to be a man. And vice versa. Vice versa. If you ask a man, well, what's a woman? How can a vague sense of masculinity define its polarity? It cannot. You need strong polarity to create boundaries and definitions. If you lack that, and you don't have that, then anything that comes out of that, it's going to be muddled. It's going to be fragile. It's going to fall apart. It's going to absolutely fall apart. And you see this in the fictitious relationships between men and women, where when we meet each other and we try to get into relationships, and we're frustrated with men or we're frustrated with females, and we're not getting them. You not getting them is you not getting yourself. The thing with masculinity, if you really develop it in yourself as a man, is it becomes very clarifying. Because what does it mean to be feminine? Femininity is everything that masculinity is not, and vice versa. Masculinity is everything that femininity is not. So, it goes, again, polarity. It goes both ways. Each pole defines the other pole. You need to have both of them. That's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. Now, there is an idea to this as well. There is an idea to this. And the animus and anima, if you go back to, let us say, ancient Greek history, or even if you go back, let's stick with ancient Greek history. The god of wisdom was a woman, the goddess Sophia, or the goddess of wisdom was also Athena, a woman. So how is it that a woman would be considered the goddess of wisdom if, let us say, logic and rationality is a male trait? Why would it be a woman? Think of it like this, and this is a developed idea. If you develop your masculinity to the utmost, if you develop yourself as a man, then women are clarifying. Women are clarifying. Same in Hinduism. Yes, same in Hinduism. If you develop your masculinity as a man, and you fully define yourself, you fully define your manhood, women are clarifying and women reveal the truth to you. Women will reveal the truth of who you are. Now, if you don't develop your masculinity and you are a stunted man, women make you feel insecure because women are infinitely strong at revealing male weakness. Women are the dark mirror for the male reality. So if you have your masculinity at full power, you can talk to women, you can meet women, you can attract women, and these women that you attract, they help you be more of what you are. They help you reveal more of what your own truth is to yourself. But if your masculinity is stunted, if you're an immature man, women do the exact opposite. They do the exact opposite. They feminize you, they confuse you, they make you feel insecure, they make you angry, they make you weak. Again, that's why I tell you, gentlemen, all the time, you have to develop your masculinity. You have to develop your masculinity. It is mandatory. It is not a question. It's non-negotiable. Now, for women, since let's be equal. Women, same thing. A very, very feminine woman, a woman that is gracious, a woman that can change the energy of a room with her hands down, a woman that can speak beautifully, a woman that is beautiful, a woman that is feminine in that way, she knows what a man is, because it's what she is not. So very, very feminine women, for them, masculinity is wisdom, because masculinity is the mirror that reveals the truth of what they are and what they need to be doing and what their reality is. That's why in those pantheons, the goddess of wisdom, oftentimes for men, it's a woman. And then, inversely within certain pantheons, for women, wisdom will appear as a man. So, animus, anima. Female power is amplifying. That's the way you take a microscope. Yeah, it is, exactly. Female power should be amplifying for a man. Women should make you feel powerful. Your interactions with women should make you feel invigorated. They should be energizing to you. If they're not, that's a reflection upon yourself, gentlemen. Women are reflecting your own weakness and your own, let's say, insipid limpness back at you. unprotected left-hand turn. So for the ladies and for the gentlemen to try to bring this to some sense of summation, since I've been talking now for 10 minutes straight, what should you do for yourselves? You have to develop your gender. You have to develop your masculinity. You have to develop your femininity. Don't look for the opposite sex to tell you what you are unless that person that you're looking to is very, 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 very much the opposite and the well-formed polarity of you. So meaning if you're a man, I would not suggest the gentleman to take advice from women upon what a man is. Unless the woman that you're talking to is incredibly feminine, maybe she can tell you some things. For the women, same thing. If you want to know what it means to be a better woman, you have to look to your sisters. Or you could look to a very, very masculine man, but you better make sure that you are speaking to a masculine man. There's a phrase I've always liked, and I don't know what it's from, I can never remember, but it is, only a man can tell a woman how to act. And the popular sentiment, you listen to that and you'll say that's misogynistic. How dare a man tell a woman how to be? It's not. It's not. There's truth to that. Only a man, capital M, can tell a woman how to act. So if you're a woman and you look to a masculine man, you can get some insight into yourself. And on the opposite side, if you're a man and you look to a feminine woman, if you look to a lady, capital L as they like to say, that woman can teach you things about yourself. But only if they are that fulfillment of the archetype. Only if they are to the utmost in their power in that way. If they're not that way, then don't listen to them. You do not want to be listening to those people. Do not listen to vague people. They never know what the fuck's going on. How did you develop your masculinity? I followed it. I've always had a very keen sense that I'm a man. That is what I am. I've never questioned that. I've not tried to be more feminine. I was never of the mindset, or never of the conditioning that getting in touch with my feminine side was going to do anything for me in that way. And I mean that's the social narrative that to be more of a man you have to be more of a woman. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Masculinity is strength. Masculinity is power. Masculinity is assertive. Masculinity is force of will. That's what I live by. Obviously there are qualities that both sexes share, but again, they have their own ways of manifestation. Men are handsome, women are beautiful. You could say a man is a beautiful man, but the way that he is beautiful is not the same way that a woman is beautiful. Women. A man is. You could say a man is beautiful. Let's use that. Run with that example. You could say a man is beautiful, but what makes that man beautiful? The potentiality for power that you see in him. A man that's vibrant and shining and fit and healthy and has the light in his eyes. That's a man that's going to move the world. He will move the world. That is a man that is a hero. That's what a hero looks like. If you see a beautiful woman, she's not going to move the world by force. She's going to persuade it to. Her beauty and her glamour will be the thing that is persuasive in its power. Men and women make things move in different ways. There's a spot. Boys who grew up in single mom homes have to work it out for them. Yeah, they do. I mean, that's one of the unfortunate, the many unfortunate effects of single motherhood, the single mom epidemic. You have men, they don't know how to be men at all. They only know how to be men in the context of how to get along with women. And subsequently you end up with lots of men. You end up with lots and lots of men who they resent their mothers. They hate their mothers in some cases. They don't get along with their mothers. They have a very bad relationship with femininity, obviously. And then when they go and try to have relationships with people, they try to have relationships with women. They're sex crazed. They don't know how to control themselves. Women make them feel insecure. Women make them angry. And they're not men who are going to lead you into the next age at all. They're self-destructive. If you want men to become self-destructive, let women raise them. That's one of the unfortunate realities of the black community right now. Fucking democratic government fucks. Anyway, tell your son this. Yeah, tell your son this. Any questions, people? Any feedback? Any thoughts? We have thoughts. Recommended books on this. How does this tie into archetypes? Archetypes are just stories, you guys. A goddess is an archetype. A god is an archetype. A god of war is an archetype. A warrior is an archetype. Now, archetypes are just summations and forms given to a story that has cohesive power to it. Yeah, how does it tie into archetypes? Archetypes tie into everything. Yeah, I mean, everything I say, it's not even that it ties into archetypes. Stories are present all around you every day of your life. You just don't see them. What's the name of the book? Animus and anima? No, it's not a book. It's not a book. It's two concepts from Jungian psychology. Yeah, that's what he called them. Yeah, but yeah, that concept of the male soul having female energy in it, or the female soul with male energy. That's not a new idea. That's been around for thousands and thousands of years. Thousands. Can a masculine woman, as you described it, even be a good mirror for man's experience? Invite a masculine woman? No. Iron John by Robert Bly is good. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Iron John by Robert Bly. Yeah, I mean, trying to read Carl Jung literature, I guess you could start with Man and Symbols. It's heavy stuff for most people. It's not accessible reading, but that's where I would start if you want to go to some of the sources of what I'm talking about. So, Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung, or Carl Jung. I love that book. It's hard. Yeah, Jung is not easy for most people to read at all. He's a different level of perception and understanding. So Bourdain got much of this wrong, bless his soul. Bourdain, I talked about Bourdain multiple times already. The man had a lot of energy, but he was a man that was, in essence, a slave to women. He made himself inferior to femininity, and it did not work out for him. And he got involved with a woman as he got older who, she probably pushed him. If I'm being honest, she pushed him over the edge and she killed him. The thing that you idolize will be the thing that either creates you or destroys you, depending upon how it treats you. What is polarity? Polarity means opposition. North, south, east, west, above and below, outside, within. Why is the sun always represented as masculine and the moon feminine? Well, so that's a good question. Because historically, so we have the sun. Well, we have the word sun. Son of, sun being, what is a sun? A sun is a man. A sun is masculine. That masculine energy is the thing that leads. Masculinity always leads. It does. I'm not even saying a primal situation. In any situation, masculinity is the thing that you can feel that projects its will upon you. So the sun represents light. The sun represents the ability to seek out truth. The sun represents the thing that shines above us, that is our Father, so to speak, and guides us to where we want to go. What is the moon? Is the moon lesser than the sun? No, the moon is not lesser. The moon is just different. The moon is a polarity. What is the moon? What is night? Night is when you rest. Night is when you reflect. Night is when you make your plans for the next day. Night is when you have your reprieve. Night is when the world cools down and the temperature chills itself and you come together, with your fellows or with your lover, and you make love to each other, or you have a dialogue, or you communicate, or you're left to ponder the mysteries of everything you have seen in the light. Nurturing and resting for the moon. Yes, nurturing and resting for the moon. And then the moon is what keeps time. The moon is what keeps time. You could think of time as being feminine in that regard. Time. You could say time is a woman in that sense. Death is often represented. Death is usually represented without gender, but sometimes death is represented as a man. But time is a woman. You could say that. How do we measure time? How do most cultures measure time still? How do we still measure time to this day? We can use the moon. We can use the stars. We can use night. So women keep track of the things that men can't see. Light is bright, and light can be blinding, and light can be giant, and light can be blinding into itself. Lunar calendars are more common in most cultures. Of course they are. Of course they are. Women's menstrual cycle also follows the moon. Yeah, well, there's also that too. There's also that too. The sun never changes its position. The sun never changes its position. The Earth changes its position around the sun. And the moon changes its position around the Earth. The sun measures time too. The sun can measure time, but how do most cultures measure time? They measure it by the moon. They don't measure it by the sun. Sundial. No, think of it. Think about this. You're talking about time measured by the minute, by the second. How do you measure eternity? You need something longer. You measure it by the moon. I don't know what a sundial. People, you're getting fucking pedantic. What happened before sundials existed? What can you use? What do you see every night that is clear to you that you can tell changes position? That you can tell changes form? The moon. The moon does that. The sun can tell time too. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. If you want to see eternity, what do? You look up. If you want to measure the past, what do? You look down. Yes, you can use a sundial to tell where the sun is. Sure, you can. The sun is moment to moment. Eternity comes at night. That's how that works. You don't stare at the ground to see infinity. Nobody does that. Not unless anything, honestly. Cycles are easy to track with lunar calendar. Of course they are. Of course they are. It's the easiest thing to see. We know it's night by the moon. We know it's day by the sun. Of course you use them together. But that's the question in regards to why is the sun masculine and the moon feminine. That is what I was explaining. Stoicism, good for masculinity. Yeah, sure it is. Go read those books. Great. When might you release the podcast on youth obsession culture from your IG story? I'll release that today. I'll release that today. I've been having thoughts coalescing about various many subjects, so I have a lot of content to get to, a lot. But I'll release that today. I think some of you have picked up on, well, maybe none of you picked up on it, but I use Twitter as a sort of a shearing off process for my thoughts. You know, you guys have asked me, how do you come up with so many ideas? I don't come up with ideas where let me think about ideas. I am an infinite machine of ideations. Twitter I use to filter out my own thinking. That's why, I consider my Twitter feed, so to speak, my stuff to be low level. It's not the highest form of what I'm thinking at all. It's just snippets. Thank you for the hair compliment. That's great. I'm not big enough to go on Joe Rogan. What can I do to lean out as much as possible in a week? Starve yourself. Why do you think ballet is traditionally a feminine sport? It's not a sport, and of course it's feminine. Beautiful women do it. How do you become better at being less sensitive to external events? Stop giving a fuck. Twitter's life brings some instant feedback. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. But Twitter is not high-level thinking. I mean, you can have a high-level feed, but Twitter is not high-level thinking. You know, my Twitter is basically just my mental vomit of just things I need. And like, I'm thinking about that. You know, spurious, line of tweets. Go back to thinking about it. Like I said, it's not well-formed ideas at all. Where are the barriers that men have right now in developing their masculinity? Themselves. That's the biggest barrier. Men are their own worst obstacles to their development. I mean, you could talk about society, you could talk about femininity, you could talk about women. Yeah, I mean, yes, those things, those things perhaps have indoctrinated you, no doubt. But as far as having the tools to do that work, do the inner work, do the inner universe work that I always talk about, you've got everything you need as a man. Everyone has everything they need. You've got the whole you have the entirety of human knowledge at your fingertips through your device on any given day and any given time. So, what's stopping you? You tell me. You're very welcome, brother. What else do we got? 4.5 more minutes. What advice would you give to men raised by women? You have to find masculine role models, and you're going to have to read masculine literature. And you're going to have to forgive your mother for whatever damage she caused you. A lot of men, when they start trying to develop themselves as men, they become resentful and angry towards their mother, since they realize that their mom, she tried to be everything, but she couldn't be everything. And that can create feelings that are conflicting. That can create friction. You have to forgive your mother, or you have to forgive your father, or you have to forgive your father for not being there. You have to forgive your father for being weak. You have to forgive your parents. Your parents did the best they could, or at least they did. Your parents did whatever it is that they did. Some people like to argue they didn't do the best they could. They could have better. It doesn't matter. Your parents acted as they acted, and they raised you how they raised you, and that is what was. Rescue your father from the underworld. Yes, that's Pearson's, one of his things. You gotta rescue your dead father from the underworld. Way of the Superior Man is a great book. Yeah, that's a very good book. It's one of my favorites. Definitely one of my favorites. Any literature you recommend for this gentleman? I think The Way of the Superior Man, David Data, that's a really good book. Iron John by Robert Bly is a good book. The Rational Male, Rollo Tomasi, that's I'd consider that a must-read for a lot of guys. Something's the problem with a lot of the red pill stuff is that it's a description of female behavior, but people internalize it as thinking that, the guys internalize it as thinking women actually think that way. Women don't. Your observations of behavior and then female perception, conceptualization of their own behavior, are two different things. I've said that before. I've said that before many times. Women don't think in terms of alpha and beta. They don't. Men think that way. Then we assume that women think that way. Women don't think in those terms. You have a number of books you have to read. I have to read? No, I don't have to read anything. I read as I read as I want to read. I read all the time. Have you read Extreme Ownership? Yeah, I have. Everything is Your Fault. Be Responsible for Yourself. It's a good book. Maybe not consciously, but on a subconscious level, women are absolutely attracted to strong men. Oh, of course they are. Everyone is always attracted to what is most strong and what is most beautiful. Men are always attracted to the most beautiful women because they are. Women are always attracted to the strongest men because they are. Strength as a concept, the thing that is most itself, that's stabilizing to us. That is something that we will identify as being true. We're always looking for truth. If you see someone and they're powerful and they're strong and they have an energy about them that is unshakable, whether you consciously disagree with that person, you don't like them, you're going to be drawn to them. That's how that works. You're going to be drawn to them. They'll be impossible to ignore. I like how you use gentlemen and ladies in racist respect. Well, it's a better way of thinking about yourself. Rather than guys and girls. Any final questions, people? What's polarity? Listen to it from the beginning. I already talked about that. Polarity is opposition. Watch it from the beginning. Polarity is that which is defined by its opposite, and the opposite is defined by its opposite. How'd you get in the ballet? I saw it, it was beautiful, and I wanted it. Because I worship beauty. Alright, good talk, people. Love you all. Talk to you all again.